About a year ago, I embarked on a fitness journey which I decided to document, and many of you have been gracious enough with your time to tune in every now and then to see how things were going. I have shared upper body and lower body workouts. I've shared updates in regards to how the recomposition was going. I also shared what I thought were very important videos with regards to women's health and things women over a certain age, particularly 35 or 40, should be focusing on in the gym, including bone health, heart health, and muscle health, for example. And in today's video, I'm going to go over the top 5 weight loss mistakes I think we as women make as beginners. Now, these are mistakes that anybody can make, but I think that looking back in hindsight of the things I was doing or not doing, I think that I could share these tips with you and perhaps they will be beneficial for you as you're going along your fitness and health journey. So let's dive in. Now, the first mistake on my list is not paying attention or not paying close enough attention to macronutrients. And when I say macronutrients, I'm talking about protein, fats, and carbs. Overall, I think calorie count was a little bit more of where I was paying attention to, and this was out of sheer, I would say, fear of going over my calorie count. And without paying attention to how much protein I was eating, fat and carbs, it wasn't really making a huge difference or dent in my routine and in my goals. Protein, we need for muscle repair and to build muscle. And then fats and carbs are necessary for energy expenditure. So we need fats and carbs to get us through the day, to get us through our workout routine, for example. And without paying close enough attention to my macronutrients, I wasn't really sure how I was faring in terms of, was I getting enough protein? Was my carb count too high or too low? I didn't do a keto diet, so there was no restriction per se with my carbohydrates, because I know with the keto diet, you don't want to go over 25 grams of carbs. But for me, without knowing where I stood, especially in the beginning, it made it more difficult for me to hold myself accountable and to how much my macronutrients were playing into my fitness routine. One thing I did eventually was I downloaded the free app, MyFitnessPal, and I was very keen on documenting everything that I was eating at a particular point until I got very well versed and accustomed to what I was eating so that I was sure of what I was, consuming day in and day out. But for many of us, it might take a month to chart everything that you're eating and that you're consuming so that you get a good idea of what you are, how much protein you're getting, how much carbs you're getting, how much fat you're getting. Research has shown that a diet high in protein actually increased weight loss by 27% compared to the standard protein diet. So think about how much you're eating and how that's going to play into your fitness goals, because that's going to be very important. Now, the second mistake I was making in my fitness routine at the beginning was doing too much cardio. Cardio in itself is good. It's good for your heart health, but eventually it might actually hinder your goals, especially because lots of cardio can increase your cortisol levels, and that's a stress hormone. When you have too much cortisol and you continuously have too much cortisol, it actually can cause fat retention in addition to having more fat around the midsection, and that is a huge issue for a lot of women as we age, keeping onto those fat cells in the abdomen and around the gut. So we want to be careful that when we start our fitness routine, to have a balance and not focus solely on cardio. We have to be able to mix up our routines and be able to focus on other things. So it's going to be important for you to find a balance with your cardio and other exercise routines. And that leads me to number 3 on the list, is not doing enough weightlifting or weight-bearing exercise. Muscle loss increases as we age. And when I say muscle loss, I'm talking about 3 to 8% of muscle loss occurs per decade of life after the age of 30. So it's going to be important for us as women or, anybody really to focus on that weight-bearing exercises to build up the muscle and to maintain the muscle that we have. Often when we skip weightlifting, it leads to slower metabolism, and sometimes we're just unsure of what we need to do or how much we need to lift or what machines we need to go at first. And for me, I used a trainer, and then after using a trainer, I just started to ask people around in the gym, Like, how do you use this machine, or what is this machine for? Sometimes it's intuitive, sometimes it's not intuitive. I always advise people to go slow and do what you can. You can see in my progress that I started really slow, especially with squatting. When I started lifting, I started really, really low. It's a 45-pound barbell with, 10 pounds on each side, going really slow just to try to get a feel for how it would be to squat in the gym. And eventually I was able to add more and more weight, but you should know that it takes time, and you should try to, if you're not comfortable with a barbell, use dumbbells. Start with 5 pounds, 10 pounds, and then increase as you are getting more accustomed to your routine and working out in the gym. A study in obesity showed that weight-bearing exercise was 2 times more effective at keeping off the weight than just doing cardio alone. So do keep in mind that weight-bearing exercises is really good for you, and not only building your bones and building your muscles, but also keeping off the fat. Now, the fourth mistake I would say I made was not drinking enough water or staying hydrated. This was happening during my exercise routine. So when I would go to the gym, sometimes I'd forget my water, or I'd say to myself, I'll just drink water later in the day, and I'd never be able to catch up with the lost water through sweating throughout the gym session. That's an issue because, not only when you hydrate do you flush out toxins, but you also replenish yourself. You need water to help things move and stay fluid and balanced within yourself. When you are dehydrated, it can slow your metabolism, as well as lead to more hunger, or I guess interpretation that you are hungry, which means you might overeat at the end of the day. So, remember to stay hydrated because it boosts energy levels and it supports the metabolic process as well as fat oxidation. And the fifth mistake I made during the beginning of my workout process was not eating enough protein, especially after a heavy workout session with heavy weights. It's going to be important to replenish your protein because that builds and maintains muscle. If I'm hitting PRs and doing a lot of weight-bearing exercise, but I'm not replenishing that protein within 1 to 2 hours of exercising, then it's not going to have my whole routine, I would say, wouldn't have the positive effect that I'm looking for. I'm not going to be able to recomp as effectively and as soon as I want to. So I would say that think of getting in 20 to 40 grams of protein post-exercise. This is going to be done by reading nutritional labels. It can be done by eating a protein bar or a shake or a meal. The meals are the best with, fresh protein. You could be eating chicken or beef or soy or fish. I do try not to eat the protein bars and the protein shakes as much as possible because, you could get used to drinking and eating those things, and I don't want you to get into the habit of looking for quick fixes, but do always consider getting in protein 1 to 2 hours after your workout, sooner rather than later. And just remember that protein provides the necessary amino acids and the building blocks for fiber repair and muscle repair, and that's essentially what we're going for. We're looking to build our muscle and drop the fat, and that's the whole idea behind recomposition, is building and maintaining muscle and losing that fat and keeping our metabolisms high and going as we age. Know that monitoring your protein intake and increasing your protein intake after exercise is going to be really helpful for you in the long run as you're trying to recomp, which is build muscle and lose fat. And you also want to maintain the muscle you're building and keep off the fat that you're losing. A lot of the mistakes I mentioned are common, but they are correctable. And I want you to take it with a grain of salt that in the beginning, we might not know everything, but as time goes on, we need to be able to implement things that are going to be beneficial for us in the long run. So please share in the comments how you've been faring with your workout. Let us know what tips and tricks you have. And I do thank you for watching, and I shall see you in the next video. Take care. Bye.